The birthday no one remember red rain fell softly over Los Angeles that evening, a quiet mist hanging in the air like a secret. The world outside buzzed with noise, flashing lights, people rushing to expensive parties, all dressed up in borrowed smiles. But inside a small, quiet cafe tucked between two larger buildings, Ana de Armas sat alone. She wasn't in makeup or dressed for the red carpet. She wore a simple gray hoodie and jeans. No bodyguards, no cameras. Just her and the silence of her coffee growing cold. She looked down at the cupcake the waiter had quietly placed in front of her. The tiny candle flickering against the window's reflection. She didn't blow it out. Soft sadness in her eyes, the kind that doesn't scream but stays deep, quiet, aching. It was her birthday. No one remembered. Her phone didn't ring. No messages from friends. Number calls from her co-stars. She wasn't angry, just ... forgotten. For someone who had stood before millions, who had made people laugh and cry on screen, it was strange to sit so unnoticed on the one day she needed to feel seen. Keanu Reeves had just finished a long shoot on the other side of town. He looked tired, wearing an old leather jacket and carrying a book under one arm. He wasn't planning to go anywhere special, just get coffee and walk a bit. Something about being around people without needing to speak gave him peace. He spotted the small cafe across the street, one he hadn't noticed before. Something about its warm light drew him in. He opened the door quietly, the bell above jingling softly as he stepped inside. His eyes scanned the room, only a few people. But one person caught his attention. Ana. She looked lost in thought, the candle still flickering, untouched. He almost turned away. Maybe she wanted to be alone. But then something stopped him. It was the way her eyes shimmered, like someone holding back a wave too big to carry alone. He walked up slowly. No cameras, no press, no manager whispering instructions. Just Keanu, the man, not the actor. Mind if I sit? Ana looked up, surprised, a little confused. Then her lips curved into a soft smile. Of all the people in Los Angeles, you show up on a day like this? Your birthday? He asked, glancing at the candle. She nodded. Seems the world forgot. Keanu didn't speak right away. Instead, he pulled the book from under his arm and placed it on the table. I was going to read alone. I think sharing a quiet moment is better. They didn't talk about movies. They didn't talk about fame. Just sat there sipping coffee, the candle still burning between them. And when the waiter came back with a confused look, as if wondering why two of the biggest names in Hollywood were in his tiny cafe, Keanu smiled and said, "Can we get another cupcake?" It was the first time she laughed that day. Somehow in that small laugh, a part of her heart healed. Keanu didn't need to make a grand gesture. He didn't post about it. He didn't even mention it again. But before leaving, he stood and said, "No one should feel invisible on their birthday, especially not someone like you." Ana didn't reply right away. She just watched him leave. Through the door, the bell ringing again. Then, finally, she leaned forward and blew out the candle. But the moment didn't end there. The next morning, a photo began to spread quietly on social media. It wasn't staged. It wasn't taken by a paparazzi. It was a blurry shot from a student who had happened to be in the cafe. It showed Ana sitting with a cupcake. And Keanu Reeves sitting across from her, just holding a book. The caption read, "Sometimes, best gifts are the people who simply show up." People across the world shared it, not because it was flashy, but because it was human, because it reminded them that even the loneliest hearts deserve kindness. And that sometimes all it takes is one person to notice when no one else does. The message that changed everything. Ana woke up the next morning with no intention of checking her phone. She had stayed up late, thinking about the quiet moment in the cafe. It wasn't a big party. It wasn't a glamorous event, but it had touched something deep inside her, a part that had felt invisible for a long time. When she finally picked up her phone, the screen was flooded with messages. Her inbox was overflowing, not just from friends or agents, but from strangers, fans, mothers, young girls, people she didn't know. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands. I saw the photo. "Thank you for reminding me it's okay to feel lonely sometimes. That moment saved me. I was planning to end everything last night. Then I saw the picture. You and Keanu gave me hope, and you didn't even say a word. Anna's hands trembled slightly as she scrolled. Her heart beat faster. Tears filled her eyes, but this time, they didn't come from sadness. They came from something bigger, a feeling she hadn't felt in a long time. Connection, she quickly called her manager. What happened? She asked, her voice low but urgent. Anna, the internet's in love with you right now, her manager said, almost laughing in disbelief. You and Keanu. The photo. It's everywhere. But it's not like the usual stuff. People are saying it gave them hope. Peace. Like it healed something in them. Anna didn't know what to say. Her voice caught in her throat. You don't have to do anything, her manager added gently. Just know that it mattered. Meanwhile, Keanu had no idea what was happening online. He had gone for one of his quiet motorcycle rides along the coast. No phone, no distractions. Just the wind, the waves, and his thoughts. When he returned home later that evening, finally saw the missed calls and texts. His assistant had left a message. Keanu, I don't know what you did yesterday, but people are calling it the most beautiful thing you've ever done. He frowned, puzzled. When he opened his social feed, the photo was the first thing he saw. Him and Anna at the cafe. Just sitting, just being human. The post had over 2 million shares. Not because it was dramatic, but because it was real. He read the messages. Some were about heartbreak, others about grief. Some simply said thank you, but one message stopped him cold. My daughter was crying in her room all night. She saw your photo and came out this morning and hugged me. She said if someone as sad as her can smile again, maybe I can too. Thank you, Keanu. Keanu sat down slowly, staring at the screen. The message repeated in his mind. He never meant to. Be a symbol. He never tried to be someone's hero. But somehow, by just sitting with Anna that night, he had given something back to the world. And deep down, he knew why it had struck such a deep chord. Because kindness without cameras is rare. Later that week, Anna received a handwritten letter. In her mailbox. No name, no return address. The paper was thick. The handwriting careful. I saw you sitting there alone, and I didn't have the courage to say anything. I lost my wife 2 years ago. She used to say, birthdays are for remembering who still believes in you. Watching Keanu sit with you reminded me that love doesn't always come with fireworks. Sometimes it arrives in silence. Thank you for reminding me to feel again. Anna folded the letter gently and placed it inside her journal. She didn't need to respond. She knew the message had already found its way back to its owner because she felt the same way. A few days later, a reporter tried to catch Keanu. Coming out of a bookstore, double quotes Keanu. About that photo with Ana de Armas, people say, you saved lives that night. What do you think about being called the most humble man in Hollywood? He paused, adjusting the strap of his worn bag. Then he gave a small smile. I didn't save anyone, he said. I just didn't want her to feel alone. He turned and walked away. And that answer, just like the moment in the cafe, made headlines again. But the ones who felt it most weren't reading the news. They were the ones who had been sitting in their own lonely cafes, waiting for someone to notice. And when they saw that photo, when they read those words, they realized something. Even the most beautiful people can feel forgotten. But even the quietest act of kindness can start a wave that never ends. The interview that revealed the true 3 weeks passed. The internet had moved on mostly. Something had quietly shifted behind the scenes. Ana de Armas was receiving interview requests daily. Talk shows, magazines, podcasts, everyone wanted to ask her about the photo, about the moment, about Keanu. But she had turned them all down until one show, a small podcast hosted by a quiet, thoughtful woman named Layla, reached out with a simple message. We don't want to talk about fame. We want to talk about healing. Come if you're ready. Ana accepted. On a rainy Monday afternoon, she sat in a warm studio with Layla, the room dim and peaceful. No flashing cameras. Just 2 people and 2 microphones. Thank you for being here, Layla said gently. Can I ask you what really happened that night? Ana took a deep breath. I didn't expect anything, she began. I wasn't even sure why I went to that cafe. Maybe I just wanted to feel something normal. Thought I could sit there, light a candle, and quietly accept that no one would show up. Her voice wavered slightly, but then he walked in. Keanu. Layla asked. Anna nodded. He didn't know it was my birthday. Not at first. He just looked at me, and it was like he saw through everything. Not the actress, not the name. Just me. The lonely girl with a candle she didn't want to blow out. The studio fell silent for a moment. Layla didn't interrupt. She let the pause settle. What did that moment mean to you? She finally asked. Anna smiled, but there was a hint of sadness in her eyes. It reminded me that kindness isn't dead, that it doesn't need a stage. People think actors are always surrounded by love, but the truth is, fame is loud and loneliness is silent. Keanu's silence that night spoke louder than anything else. Layla leaned in gently. You said something before we started? You haven't celebrated your birthday in years? Why? Anna looked down. When I was younger, my birthdays were big. But as I got older, they became a reminder of who stayed or got. After a while, I just stopped celebrating. It hurt less. And now? Layla asked. Anna's eyes softened. Now, I think I might light that candle again, even if no one shows up. The interview went live that evening. It didn't explode, like viral gossip usually does. Instead, it spread slowly, carefully. People shared it with quiet captions like "This made me cry," or "Listen with your heart." Meanwhile, Keanu was back on set, filming in the mountains. No phone signal, no internet. He didn't know that the world was still watching. On the final day of the shoot, as he packed up his things, a young assistant walked up and handed him a small box. Someone left this for you, she said. No name, just said you'd understand. He opened it. Inside was a single birthday candle and a note. Sometimes it only takes one person to make you feel like the world didn't forget. Thank you for being that person. Keanu closed the box and held it quietly in his hand. A few days later, Keanu was invited to an event, a charity gala supporting mental health. He didn't usually go to those things unless there was a cause he deeply cared about. But this time, he accepted. Anna was there too. When she saw him walk in, her face lit up. It's not the kind of smile made for the cameras, the real kind. The one that starts in the heart. Hey, she said softly. Hey, he replied. They stood side by side, surrounded by 100 people, but it felt like the cafe again. Just the two of them. No noise, no expectation. Did you see the interview? Anna asked. I did, Keanu said. I think a lot of people needed that. Anna nodded. I didn't do it for them. I did it for the girl I used to be, the one who thought no one saw her. Keanu looked at her gently. Well, someone did. The night went on. Something unexpected happened. During the closing ceremony, the host of the event walked up to the stage and said, Tonight, we want to honor a moment that reminded millions of people around the world what quiet kindness looks like. Not through a campaign, not through money, but through presence. A large screen lit up behind them. The photo appeared again, the candle, the cafe, the moment. And then the host added, Tonight we honor Keanu Reeves and Ana de Armas, not as actors, but as humans, for showing us that healing begins when one person chooses to sit beside another. The crowd stood in applause. Anna reached for Keanu's hand, and this time it wasn't just a photo. It was a moment shared, celebrated, and held in the hearts of everyone who had ever felt forgotten. The girl in the crowd next morning, the photo from the charity gala, flooded the internet again. But this time it wasn't the image that moved people. It was what happened in the hours that followed. Somewhere in a small town hundreds of miles away, a 16-year-old girl named Emily sat on her bed, holding her phone tightly. Her eyes were red from crying, but there was something else in them now, a trace of hope. Emily had been struggling for a long time. Her parents fought every night. Her friends had slowly faded away. At school, no one noticed her anymore. She had started to believe that being invisible was her only purpose. until she saw Anna's interview. The way Anna spoke about being forgotten. It was like she had reached through the screen and held Emily's hand. And when Emily saw the photo of Anna and Keanu standing together again at the charity event, something inside her whispered, "Maybe there's still something beautiful waiting for you too." She didn't tell anyone, but that morning she wrote a letter. It's not a letter to mail, just one she needed to write. A letter to herself. Dear me, you are not invisible, not forever. Maybe one day someone will see you, like he saw her. She folded it and tucked it under her pillow. Meanwhile, Anna sat quietly in her home, looking out at the rainy sky. She didn't feel famous today. She didn't feel strong. She felt something new, peaceful. She hadn't spoken to Keanu since the gala. She didn't need to. Their words had always lived between the silences. But then her phone buzzed. It was a message from him. "I have an idea. Meet me tonight? Same cafe?" The cafe owner had closed early after Keanu called. He didn't say much, just asked if they could use the space again privately. The owner agreed instantly. Anna walked in wearing a long coat, no makeup. Just herself. Keanu was already there, sitting at the same table. A single cupcake sat in front of him this time, the same kind she had ordered on her birthday. The same kind he had quietly shared with her. "You remembered," she said, her voice soft. "How could I forget?" He replied. They sat for a while, sipping coffee, the candle glowing again between them. "Why did you bring me here?" Anna finally asked. Keanu pulled something from his jacket pocket and placed it on the table. It was a worn notebook, pages filled with scribbled thoughts. "I used to write here," he said. "Before everything got loud. Before the world expected me to be something I'm still trying to understand. I always came here to think." Anna flipped through the pages slowly. Poems, little moments, even some sketches. "This one," he said, pointing to a drawing of a woman sitting by herself. "I drew that months before I met you. I didn't know who she was. But now I think maybe it was you." Anna's eyes filled with quiet tears. "Keanu, why are you doing this? Why me?" He looked at her, steady and calm. "Because the world is full of people pretending to be okay, and you didn't pretend. You just sat there with all your sadness and let it be real. That kind of honesty is rare." Anna took a deep breath. "I've been thinking about something," she whispered. "About starting something. A foundation, not for headlines, not for press. Yes. A space where lonely people can connect. Share their birthdays. Write letters to each other. Maybe we can build something that lasts longer than a moment." Keanu's lips curved into a smile. "Then let's do it." 1 week later, a simple website went live. It was called One Candle. It didn't look fancy. It had one photo, a candle flickering on a table, and a message. "If you're alone, light this candle with us. You're not invisible. We see you." People started lighting candles in their own homes, taking photos, writing small messages. A girl in Brazil lit one for her grandmother who had passed away. A boy in Poland lit one because he didn't know how to come out to his family. A nurse in Chicago lit one after working 12 hours straight with no one to talk to. The candles spread, not like fire, but like warmth. And in her room, Emily lit her own candle. This time, not with tears, but with a small smile. She added a message to the site. "Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Keanu. Tonight, I believe I matter." Anna scrolled through the messages, heartful. She didn't need a stage anymore. She had something greater. A quiet flame in the dark shared by strangers, who had become a family. The woman who knocked on the cafe door, the sun, had just begun to set behind the hills of Los Angeles when the cafe owner heard a gentle knock on the door. "Hey!" It was a quiet evening, and the closed sign still hung on the window, but something about the woman standing outside made him walk over and open it anyway. She looked older, maybe in her late 60s. Her clothes were simple, worn with time. Her hands trembled slightly as she held a folded piece of paper. "I'm sorry to bother you," she said softly. "Is this the place from the photo?" The cafe owner paused. "The one with Anna, armas, and Keanu Reeves?" The woman nodded, her eyes wet with emotion. My son, he saw that photo a few weeks ago. He was struggling with depression. We didn't know how bad it was. But that picture and the website, it gave him something to hold on to, something real. He started lighting candles, writing on that site. She held up the folded paper. This was the last thing he wrote before he passed away peacefully last night. Not from pain, but from peace. The cafe owner took a step back, deeply moved. Would you like to come in? She nodded again, slowly. And as he made her a cup of tea, she sat at the same table where Keanu and Anna had shared the cupcake. She unfolded the note. It was simple, but full of heart. I know I'm leaving, but I'm not afraid anymore. Someone saw me. Someone lit a candle for me. Tell them thank you. Later that night, the cafe owner called Keanu. You need to hear this, he said. Keanu listened silently as the story was told. Not a word escaped his lips for a long time. Then finally he said, Can you ask the woman if she would let us share his letter? Anonymously? I think she'd be honored, the owner replied. The next morning, the letter was posted on the One Candle website under the title, A Final Light. The moment it went live, the response was overwhelming. Hundreds of people began sharing their own stories of loss, of hope, healing. People from around the world added new features to the site without asking for permission. A therapist from Seoul offered free group sessions via video. A retired teacher in Canada started writing letters to anyone who left their email. A mother from India began organizing small birthday gatherings for children in orphanages, all under the name One Candle Birthdays. Anna sat in her living room, watching it all unfold. She turned to Keanu, who had stopped by that morning with a bag of bagels and 2 cups of coffee. I never thought it would grow like this, she whispered, because it's not about us, he replied. It's about the people who never got to say what they were carrying. Anna looked at him thoughtfully. Do you think we should go public with it? Maybe make a video together. Not about acting, just to talk to them, like real people. Keanu hesitated. I've always avoided cameras when it comes to my personal life. But if it helps someone feel less alone, then yes, I'll do it. They filmed the video the next day. No director, no makeup, no script. Just the 2 of them sitting side by side at the cafe table, the same candle flickering between them. Anna started. If you're watching this, you feel like we once did, alone, forgotten, quiet in a world that never stopped shouting. Keanu followed. But we're here to remind you that silence doesn't mean no one sees you. We see you. And so do the thousands of others who've lit their own candles, Anna added. You matter? Your pain matters. Your joy matters. Even if you feel invisible, someone, somewhere is lighting a candle just for you. They didn't cry. They didn't perform. They just spoke. And that was enough. The video was uploaded with a simple caption. Light one, share one. Remember, someone. Within hours, it had been shared more than 5 million times. Comments poured in. I watched this with my mother who hasn't spoken in days. Now she's writing a letter. My son saw this and asked if we could light a candle together. Haven't smiled in 6 months. This gave me a reason to try. Meanwhile, Anna received a handwritten package in the mail. No return address. Inside was a small candle. Not a real one, but made of clay, clearly shaped by a child's hands. It was lopsided, imperfect, and beautiful. With it came a letter. Dear Anna, I'm 9 years old, and I was sad because my dad left. I saw your video and I lit a candle for him. Then my mom hugged me. I made this candle for you because you helped me feel brave. Anna pressed the candle to her heart, tears falling silently. She didn't reply publicly. Instead, she placed the clay candle on her kitchen window. It was the first thing she saw every morning, and it reminded her that one small act could live in the heart of a child forever. Keanu, too, had changed. He had always been quiet, reserved, but now he found himself talking more to strangers, helping more than he used to, sitting beside strangers on park benches, asking, "How's your day really going?" He wasn't trying to be famous anymore. He was just trying to be present, and everywhere they went, someone would recognize them. and whispered, "Thank you for the candle. Not thank you for your movie. Not thank you for the autograph. But thank you for seeing me." The day the world lit up, it began on a Tuesday. No announcement, no warning. Just a sudden, gentle wave that swept across the world without sound, but with light. It started in a village in Japan. A retired train conductor who had lost his wife to illness lit a candle on his balcony and whispered her name. Someone walking by took a photo and posted it with the caption, "He said he didn't want her to feel forgotten." That post spread to Korea, where a young girl struggling with anxiety lit a candle in her bathroom and wrote, "For the days I felt like a shadow." Then it moved to Argentina, where a teenager lit a candle for her brother who had taken his life 2 years earlier. And in France, an elderly woman lit one for the friend she hadn't spoken to in 40 years, then picked up the phone and called her. By noon, people in over 70 countries had lit candles. The one candle site, which had quietly grown over the last few months, suddenly reached over 100 million visitors. The world, without planning it, turned that ordinary Tuesday into something sacred. They called it the Day of the Candle. Anna stood in her living room, barefoot, a cup of tea in her hand, watching the live stream of candles being lit across every time zone. Windows, porches, hospital rooms, schools, kitchens, even a group of soldiers on the edge of a dusty outpost lit a candle and stood in silence. Anna's phone buzzed. It was a message from Keanu. "Meet me rooftop." She smiled softly, threw on a light sweater, climbed to the rooftop of the building where they had first decided to start the movement. Keanu was already there. He stood by a small round table, a candle already burning between 2 cups of coffee. Anna walked up, her eyes glassy from everything she'd seen that day. "Did you ever imagine this?" she asked. "No," he said gently. "I only imagined a quiet birthday, one where someone didn't have to sit alone." They stood there for a long moment, saying nothing. The city below them twinkled with lights, but somehow the soft glow of thousands of tiny candles shone brighter. Anna finally whispered, "We started this because I didn't feel seen. Now, millions of people are being seen for the first time." Keanu turned to her, "Because you let the world see you first." Keanu blinked, touched deeply by his words. They sat down together, just like that first night. 2 people, 1 flame. No fanfare. Double quotes. "I think it's time we let it go," Anna said after a while. "Let what go?" Keanu asked. "Let the movement belong to them now," she replied. "The people. They don't need us to lead it anymore. It's theirs." Keanu nodded. "Slowly, then we give it back to them." The next day, Anna and Keanu posted a final message on the One Candle site. It read, "To everyone who ever felt invisible. To those who lit candles in silence. To the lonely, the grieving, the healing. This belongs to you now. We lit the first flame, but you made it a galaxy. Keep it burning. Keep seeing each other." With love, Anna and Keanu. They didn't post again after that, but the movement never stopped. Years passed. The One Candle initiative grew into something no one could have predicted. There were no celebrities fronting it, no brands using it. It stayed quiet, personal, human. On every continent, candle circles formed. Groups of strangers who met once a month to simply listen. No advice, no fixing, just presence. Schools began lighting candles on the first day of class to remember students who felt left behind. Hospitals lit them in the rooms of patients with no family. Prisons lit them when someone reached out for forgiveness. And every year, on the same Tuesday in November, people all over the world would pause and light one candle. One evening, many years later, a young woman stepped into the same small café where it all began. She was carrying a journal and a small, worn clay candle. She walked up to the table in the back and sat down with a soft smile. The cafe owner, now older, came over and asked gently, "First time here?" She nodded. "My mom told me stories about this place. She said a man once noticed a woman on her birthday, and everything changed." The cafe owner smiled kindly. "And what's your story?" She placed the clay candle on the table. "My mom was Ana de Armas." The owner blinked, stunned. "She never said she didn't want it to be about her," the woman said. "She wanted it to stay quiet, gentle, like he did." And him? The owner asked.
Ah, what happened?
To Keanu. The woman smiled. He still writes letters. Still visits people. Still lights candles. But he never says who he is. He just shows up, listens, and leaves quietly. The owner nodded, deeply moved. The world could use more people like him. The young woman looked at the candle, then whispered, "The world has millions now." And it all started with one. That night, she lit the clay candle, and from the window of the café, it looked just like the photo One Flame. One person, and an entire world quietly watching.